Those newfangled doorbell cams can come in real handy when you want to prepare yourself for unexpected guests before throwing open the front door. But they can also capture some pretty crazy happenings, like this. I bet you didn't see that one coming, and neither did the poor homeowner. To find out about this runaway tire, plus a bunch more uber cool, totally fresh sights for your peepers, just kick back and relax as we embark on this episode of things you will see for the first time in your life. Magic and witchcraft might be the stuff of fiction, but if that's really the case, then how do you explain this? What you're seeing here is electricity traveling through wood, which is more formally known as the art form fractal wood burning. The skilled artist behind this piece is Hunter Dossett from Electrified Arts on Facebook. You probably weren't even aware that wood could be used as a conductor like this, right? The process involves applying an electrically conductive solution onto wood before adding some high voltage electricity using what's known as a transformer and two probes. When the electricity is applied, it burns right through the wood from one probe to the other. The intriguing shapes that are created in the process are known as Lichtenberg figures, or fractal burns, which kind of look like the wood has been struck by lightning, don't you think? It isn't an exact science and requires a bit of trial and error to achieve the most striking results. If the wood is too dry, it won't burn, but if it's excessively wet, it won't burn at all. Somewhere in between, there's a happy medium where the wood, concentration, and application create the perfect burning speed. Once you're done burning, the wood can be cleaned and sanded, and the Lichtenberg figures should be scrubbed to remove any char. And voila! You've just made yourself a totally one-of-a-kind work of art. But I strongly suggest you don't try this at home unless you know what you're doing. People have been seriously injured and even killed after underestimating the dangers of dealing with high-voltage electricity. So perhaps it's best to just sit back and watch some uber-satisfying videos of the experts like Dossett at work instead. Gymnasts are probably some of the most overlooked athletes out there. You might think it's all leotards and ribbons, but have you ever seen something as simultaneously graceful and awesome as this? For those of you, including myself, who had no idea this even existed until you first laid eyes on it, this funky apparatus is known as a gym wheel. The sport originated in Germany, and the talented young lady you see in this video is Maren Grosch, who placed 20th at the German Gym Wheel Championships in 2017. The wheel itself, which is sometimes known as the Röhnrad or German wheel, was invented by Otto Feick in 1925. Feick, the grandson of a blacksmith, was inspired by a memory from his childhood in Reichenbach when he had tied sticks between two hoops that his grandfather had made and rolled it down a hill. Although it's not as well known as other sports, Gym Wheel World Championships are held each year, and New York City is set to host in 2021. The diameter of the wheel depends on the size of the gymnast so that he or she can hold securely onto the grips while fully outstretched, and they can perform some pretty wicked stunts. Anyone else feeling dizzy all of a sudden? Are you afraid of heights? If the answer is no, how would you feel about giving this a go? Would it make you feel any better if I told you this is sometimes known as the ladder to heaven? The 40-meter long sky ladder is located on a famous climbing route in the mountains of Gosu in Salzburg, Austria. The absolute daredevil in this video is Salzburg-based photographer and full-time adventurer Sebastian Scheichel. The ladder was designed by Heli Putz, who also created the original 15-year-old climbing route. The ladder was installed in just one day by Putz and 3 helpers and incorporates special safety anchors to secure it at altitude. The ladder begins at a point that is already 700 meters off the ground, so would-be climbers need a strong stomach for heights before embarking on the steep ascent. But those who are brave enough to reach the top are rewarded with breathtaking views over the Gasal Lake, as well as the Grossglockner Mountain on clear days. Could you do it? Let's pick our jaws up off the floor for a moment so I can ask you guys whether you know of anything weird, wonderful, or downright amazing that should be shared with the world. If you think you've seen something that fits the bill, send any footage or images you find online to clips@beamazed.com. And you might even earn yourself a shout out in the next episode. Now, where were we? If I asked you to draw a perfect circle right now, without grabbing an old Pringles can to trace around, would you be up to the challenge? This guy wouldn't even break a sweat. Believe it or not, drawing a perfect circle with a single shoulder rotation like this is not as easy as it looks. The super chill guy in this clip is Las Vegas-based artist Frankie Aguilar, also known as Frankie Nines, who started out as a graffiti artist and has since collaborated with major clients including Snoop Dogg, Major Lazer, and even Grumpy Cat. Humans are so inadequate at drawing circles that scientists have even studied it. One study found that we actually get worse the faster we try to go, while another concluded that our brains just prefer to move one joint rather than the many different ones needed to create precise circles. The parts of our brains that are responsible for drawing circles and recognizing perfection are separate and have a hard time working together, which means that, although our minds love the symmetry of the shape, our hands just can't make it perfect. Of course, like most things, it is possible to draw a pretty neat circle, but it requires a whole lot of practice. I don't know about you guys, but I could be up all night watching those oddly satisfying videos. It's remarkable how even the most seemingly mundane things can have us glued to the screen just because our brain loves to see things done perfectly. Like this, for example. What you're seeing here is the perfect work of James Todman, a topiarist from the Cotswolds in the UK. In case you don't speak fluent gardener, topiary is the practice of training perennial plants by clipping the foliage and twigs of trees and shrubs to maintain perfect and fantastical shapes. Ever seen a ridiculous horse-shaped bush in someone's front yard? That's topiary. Todman has over 15 years of experience in the field, pardon the pun, and favors organic, freeform, or geometrical designs. The spherical bushes that are so commonly used in topiary are known as buxus balls, and can be shaped and preened to perfection using clippers and some good old green fingers. To make sure that buxus ball is as smooth as can be, Todman gives it a good shake and brush halfway through the hand clipping process to remove any trimmings, loosen the growth, and release any sprigs that may have been missed. Suddenly I have a strange urge to go and shake a bush, though somehow I feel like I'd only end up with thorns in my fingers. How do you feel about horses? Some people can't get enough of them, while others are terrified by their sheer strength. Have you ever seen how satisfyingly squishy their noses are, though? This 6-month-old horse named Yates belongs to Georgia Gonzalez from Texas. Isn't he adorable? The reason why horses' noses are so soft and squishy is that they don't have any bones in them. Unlike human noses, which are packed full of stiff cartilage, horses have incomplete wings of cartilage in their nostrils, while the area leading to and including the upper lip is very muscular. When they're hard at work, a horse's lip feels firm and strong, particularly when they're trying to get a tasty carrot out of your hand. But like any other muscle, they go slack when they're not doing something, which is when their muzzle becomes an irresistibly squishy stress ball. Many horses will even quiver their lips to show that they're relaxed. Basically, this is one chilled out horse. Everyday objects aren't always as they seem. Just take a look at this trippy rug, which seems to be melting into a pool of swirling color on the floor. It might look like something Alice would encounter on one of her trips to Wonderland, but this is actually a unique piece by Azerbaijan-based artist Faik Ahmed. Ahmed is known for his highly conceptual work that blend traditional decorative craft with the visual language of carpets to create sculptural works of art that defy all expectation. Ahmed shatters the limitations of geometric patterns by deconstructing them and allowing dreamlike colors to spill out onto the floor. His fascination began when he was 7 years old, and his parents left him in his bedroom to play on the rug. After tracing the patterns and finding that they made up a kind of labyrinth, he took a pair of scissors to the rug and rearranged the design to break those limitations. I bet his parents weren't too pleased. Since then, he has transformed rugs of all shapes and sizes into tons of fantastical designs. Nowadays, 33-year-old Ahmed's creations are coveted around Europe and the US, where each piece can sell for upwards of $15,000. Now that's what I call a magic carpet. Everyone loves swings, right? Whether you're 2 years old or 42, the sensation of gliding back and forth through the air is one of life's simple pleasures. Now imagine having a go on this bad boy. How much fun does that look? This is probably the only waterfall swing in the world that's guaranteed not to get you wet. This incredible invention was created by Andrew Ratcliffe, Mike O'Toole, Ian Charnas, and Andrew Witt from Dash 7 Design, and first debuted at the World Maker Faire in 2011. But how does it all work? The rain recirculates through 273 independently controlled solenoid valves at the top of the structure to create a wall of water. Then the water forms a collection pool on the ground and is recycled and pumped up to a large pipe that feeds the valves. It might seem like you have to time your swinging perfectly to avoid getting soaked, but the brainy designers have that potential problem covered too. Sensors mounted on the swing set gather information about the angle and speed of each swing, which is sent to a computer that predicts the action of the rider. The computer then creates a perfectly human-sized hole in the wall of water that allows you to swing through it without getting your clothes wet. How long until this gets installed at my local park? Did you know that tigers have the largest canine teeth of any big cats, ranging from 2.5 to 3 inches in length? That's a lot of dental work. In summer 2019, one big cat earned herself the nickname of the world's coolest tiger after she left the dentist chair with a solid gold tooth. A team of international tiger experts were called in to prepare one of 6-year-old rescue cat Kara's huge front teeth for a hard-wearing gold crown after dentists found 2 deep grooves, which sparked fears that the tooth could break off at any moment. At the end of August 2019, specialists produced a cast of Kara's teeth to help create a perfectly fitting tooth implant. Once the gold tooth was complete, Kara underwent a complicated 80-minute operation led by leading dental surgeons to fix her up with a shiny new gnasher. Now I understand what the phrase, "the cat's whiskers" means, because this big cat is dripping in swag. On the 20th of August 2020, one homeowner in Pawhuska, Ohio was shell-shocked when an unexpected guest turned up on their doorstep. Believe it or not, this runaway tire smashed into that porch at a top speed of 65 miles per hour. After zooming off the road, it bounces off a tree root and slams into the front of the house, shattering a pillar, hitting the doorbell, and breaking the mailbox in the process, before it finally settles in a smoking heap on the front lawn. Thankfully, the entire thing was captured on doorbell CCTV, or you might struggle to believe it actually happened. Although it's not exactly clear how this tire found itself coming in hot, wheels that fall off a moving vehicle can often fly into the air or even bounce dangerously off other cars if the screws are weak or not installed properly. Let's just hope this homeowner wasn't getting 40 winks. Although based on the reaction of the guy in the hot pink shorts at the end of the clip, it's certainly a possibility. Now that's what I call a wheelie rude awakening. Tattoos can be a touchy subject, especially when it comes to family gatherings like Thanksgiving. It seems like you either love them or you hate them, but one thing's for sure, they're about as permanent as can be. Or are they? What is this witchcraft, you ask? Well, it's as simple as a splodge of the new full coverage foundation by the California-based brand Colored Rain Cosmetics. It's no wonder people lost their minds as this post went viral on Twitter. That entire hand of elaborate tattoos gets covered up so quickly and efficiently that you wouldn't even know they were there to begin with. So next time Granny announces she's heading over and you haven't shown her your new tats yet, you know exactly where to go. When was the last time someone challenged you to an arm wrestling match? You might think it's just a playground pastime, but there's some pretty fearsome professionals out there who would love to prove you wrong. Just check this guy out. No, I don't mean him. I'm talking about the spectacled guy on the right. He may not look like the most daunting opponent, but just watch. He made that look like a total walk in the park. This young sporting prodigy is Alexander Topiary, also known as the Schoolboy, one half of the world-famous champion arm wrestling duo, the Topiary brothers. Alexander may have only recently turned 20, but he's already snatched up trophies around the world alongside his older brother, 29-year-old Alex Topiary, who's also a force to be reckoned with. Back in 2018, Alex and Alexander took to the streets of New York City and challenged the people of Union Square to see if they could beat this so-called Schoolboy in an arm wrestling match. No matter who stepped up to the plate, or how much iron they'd been pumping at the gym, Alexander was able to totally destroy them while barely breaking a sweat. When the Topiary brothers returned to Union Square in 2020, Alexander was able to defend his title as the unbeatable Schoolboy once again, as he took down even the most stacked guys with ease. After watching this Schoolboy compete, it's safe to say you should never judge a book by its muscles. Would you be brave enough to take on one of the Topiary brothers? I don't know about you, but I think I'll stick to old-fashioned thumb wrestling for now. Speaking of thumbs, now's a good time to check that you've smashed that little thumbs up button, and don't forget to show that subscribe and notification bell some love too, so you don't miss out on any more amazing content. Now let's dive right back in. Remember when you'd hand your parents a drawing you made of your favorite animal as a kid and they'd look at it and say, "Oh, sweetie, that's great," when what they really meant was, "What is that abomination?" One incredible London-based digital artist and father of two named Tom Curtis has taken things a step further by imagining what some of his son's drawings would look like if they actually came to life. Tom has two kids, 11-year-old Dom and 8-year-old Al, and he uses some wicked Photoshop skills to turn their drawings into equally terrifying, hilarious, and adorable real-life creatures, which he posts on his Instagram page, Things I Have Drawn. When people ask Tom how long it takes to create each masterpiece, he used to answer, "No time at all, because the animals are all real. The kids are just brilliant at drawing." Of course, the process is actually pretty complex. According to Tom, each one can take up to 10 hours to complete, especially if it involves textures like scales, which can be super fiddly. After 5 years of photoshopping his own kids' drawings, Tom has amassed over 800,000 followers and now accepts submissions from other parents who want to have their own children's art transformed. It all began when Tom noticed that his son Dom would always draw the eyes and mouth on the same side of the animal's head. So he decided to reimagine some of your favorite animals from a kid's perspective, and the rest is history. This reimagined scorpion has to be one of my personal favorites. If they really looked like this cheery little fella, we wouldn't have any reason to fear them. On the flip side, you have these utterly terrifying dogs with their flattened faces, wide bug eyes, and sharp crocodile teeth. And I don't know about you, but I think the world would be a much more interesting place if birds looked the way Tom's kids drew them. Can you imagine seeing a pencil-thin hummingbird that looks like this drinking nectar from an exotic flower? What about this smug, flat-faced woodpecker? Or this owl that most definitely knows something you don't? You can see hundreds more on Tom's Insta, but I just have to show you this fox that looks like it's been through a blender. If Pixar knows what the people want, they should definitely get in touch with Mr. Curtis, because I'd definitely watch the heck out of a movie about these kooky critters. We've all heard the biblical story of the burning bush, but this is something else entirely. Is that a fire burning inside a tree with nothing else burning around it? It may look like the Eye of Sauron, but this is actually a totally natural phenomenon, albeit a very rare one. This incredible footage was captured by Reddit user Lima Salone, a firefighter who came across the bizarre sight while patrolling San Francisco Bay Area during the SCU Lightning Complex wildfires of 2020. According to Professor Guillermo Rhine, an expert in fire science at Imperial College London, this rare but fascinating phenomena has been studied before and can occur under a few different circumstances. Occasionally, a tree that has been struck by lightning can burn from the inside out, but this unique kind of fire is most often caused by wildfires. In some cases, a parasite known as armillaria or honey fungus can eat the tree from within, leaving the inside of the trunk hollow and the outside dry and brittle. This makes the tree especially vulnerable to wildfires. If flames enter the cavity, it can produce a natural chimney inside the trunk which accelerates the burning. In fact, a terrifying tree like this can apparently burn for days. Anyone else think it kinda looks like a terrifying portal to another dimension? Which of these incredible things amazed you the most? If you still hunger for that good old wow factor, why not go ahead and check out one of the previous episodes of this series next? And don't forget to get in touch at clips@beamazed.com. Until next time, thanks for watching, guys.